we're excited to announce on Fave Unite TV a new release, the film by Ronald Dillard Jr., The Color in Your Eyes, available July 25th, 2023.
Hi guys, good afternoon, good evening everyone, wherever you are in the world. Today is a very, very special edition of the Truth Runners Talk Show, and I am so excited. It's a Saturday afternoon in the UK. I have two special guests and a very special co-host today with me. I would love to welcome everybody. Welcome Ronald Dillard Jr., welcome Ryan Wilson, and my beautiful co-host, Leah.
Hello, everybody. And not only is it a special Truth Runners, but it is a special The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. We are so excited to have our guests here today. And we're coming to you from 3 continents. How beautiful is that? From Europe, from Africa, and from the USA. So being here with my co-host and dear friend, Krisztina, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So guys, today, what I would really love to do is, if you guys are tuning in, you can ask your questions you may have. You can make any comments you may have during the show. I would love to ask a couple of questions from Ryan, who's been an actor in Ronald's movies. And of course, Ronald, he's one of my favorite guests in the talk. Please guys, don't be mad at me, but he's one of my favorites. And we are going to talk about the movie The Color in Your Eyes, and I'm going to read this one because this movie was selected in 51 domestic and international film festivals, winner of 11 awards, including Best Short Film, Best Emancipatory Film, English, Best Drama, Best Inspirational Film, Best Poster, Best Director for a Short Film, Critics' Choice Award, the Attainment Award for Best Drama Short Film. Whew, that was a lot, but that's awesome. So welcome guys once again. And what I'm gonna do is gonna be a little bit different than we've done so far. Instead of me introducing you guys, I would love to ask you to introduce yourself. And what I really would love to know, who is the real Ronald Dillard Jr. and who is the real Ryan Wilson? How about we start with this?
Well, what I would love to do is I'd love to take a moment to introduce Ryan to everyone, because he holds a special place in my heart. Because Ryan, I saw him in a play. He went to Virginia Union University. I saw him in a play one time, and it was something where I got from Spike Lee, where he used to go out, and that's where he found like Samuel L. Jackson and Lawrence Fishburne. That's where he found his actors. So that's kind of where I got the concept from. I walked up to Ryan. I said, "Listen, I'm going to be doing a play probably next year, and because I don't like to do anything last minute. I love planning things out. The way I basically say it is that Warner Brothers doesn't say, 'Hey, let's do Harry Potter next week.' No, let's do a Batman movie tomorrow." So and the thing about Ryan is that there are some people that I work with that I don't know if they really got the vision, or maybe they work with so many people that I became just another person to work with. They didn't take it seriously, but he always saw where I was looking to go. And so he was in a play, his last play, and that was so significant because one of my friends name is Eric, and it was kind of symbolic of a situation I felt like my older brother would have would transpired. So he actually got to meet the real Eric and actually spend some time with him, and actually got the seal of approval from Eric, which was the best. And so then he went on. He was in when we pray on them. He was also in, of course, what we're talking about today, The Color in Your Eyes. I'll give him a moment to go ahead. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Ryan J. Wilson. Take it away, Mr. Wilson.
Woo! Welcome, Ryan.
Oh, thank
Nice.
you for the invitation, Ron. I don't know what to say after that. It's a hard intro to come in after. It came in hot. But yeah, my name is Ryan J. Wilson. I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm currently based out of Maryland, and I've known Ron since 2011.
Yeah.
2011. So we've done a few projects together. Like we mentioned, Color in Your Eyes, When We Pray on Them, in the Player's Last Play. I was also a part of the staff for some of Ron production as well, just whether he needed me to press the record button on the camera, whether he needed me to hold the boom mic, etc. And currently, yeah, we getting ready to do some more stuff in the future. So yeah, we're just working hard at that.
No,
I'm gonna get there too.
well, for me, for everyone, I'm a writer, director, producer, and actor. I've been acting since I was 12 years old, writing since high school, directing, fortunately, since college, and producing, writing, directing, acting, everything since 2008. Another thing about Ryan was interesting, the backstory is that there's another film that we have that hasn't been released on the Fave Unite platform yet. It's called A Monster. It's the one that's going to be released on August 15th. Now, A Monster, originally, I was challenging Ryan with that role. And I was sitting with that role for a while, and I made a call that I never like to make, but I said, Ryan, I really feel like I need to play this role. And I don't want to come and talk to an actor who's already got the script and working on something and be able to just say renege and not have something to offer them. I said, well, listen, if you'll be amenable to this, I'd like for you to do the lead in A Color in Your Eyes, and I take A Monster, I take A Monster back. And he was amenable to that, so and that's kind of how that happened. Because with A Monster, I felt like the subject matter and because of what we're dealing with, it's interesting. I knew the kind of questions that may come after I put the film out, and they actually eventually did come, but I could answer because of my past, and that's something that I didn't want to get misconstrued or have him have to deal with, because it's something that I felt like I could, I could portray the role, and I also can answer all questions on it because it's a very, very particular type of a story. And to answer your question of who I am, I'm someone who, as much as I love acting, as much as that's my passion, I have become in love with telling stories, and I really love to have the person of disadvantage have their say. And I also like to show characters in certain situations to hopefully get the audience to ask themselves, do I want to go through this? One of the best things my mother did for my siblings and I is that my mother worked in Department of Corrections for over 32 years. And she would show us films about, where someone may get arrested or they go through something or they may go through drugs or whatever have you. And then she would have these conversations with us and ask us a question, do you want this to happen to you? Well, through films and through her stories, that had a lifelong effect on me. And I'm just hoping that we tell a story in such a way that it has an arc where people can sit back and it can indulge conversation. It can make people think about themselves, because I write what fascinates me. And particularly with The Color in Your Eyes, what fascinates me is, has anybody ever asked themselves that question? Because, for example, if your father raised you and was present in your life and everything he taught you was correct, and he told you, don't trust those darkies, those black folks, those whatever words you want to come up with that's negative, right? If he told you that, why would you not believe him? But if you find yourself false, you have the courage to ask yourself that question. So I'm gonna stop there because I can go on for days.
Yes, and this brings up such a great point, because knowing that Ryan played the lead in this particular film, how did you prepare for that?
The way that I prepared for it was first just always just sitting down with Ron and just reading the script 2 or 3 times, and then I come to him and we'll just break it down from there. He'll ask me, how do I feel about the story? How do I feel about the character? And we'll just further just start doing that, character development together. So that's pretty much how it started. And then it was just, just hard work, understanding, all of the different characters, understanding, my role in the story, interacting with those characters, understanding the different characters, point of view of where they're coming from. And that's just what I try to do with all the scripts that I get, so I can have a well-rounded understanding of just what the entire story is about from all of the different other characters' perspectives.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I think it's going to, thank you, Nonya, for asking that for Ryan, actually, because I was really wondering, I've seen Ronald movies and they are really deep, right?
Yes.
And I think the guys, the actors who are actually playing the roles, I like, okay, I really need to dig deep into this one. For example, The Color in Your Eyes, right? You're playing the black guy and there is the white father and then the white chick. Like me, I'm more surrounded by black. Look at you guys, I'm the only white person in the room. So I kind of And what I really love about your movies, Ronald, and people who are playing in it, that you take social issues and things, and through storytelling you put them on screen, what not many dare to do. Let's take, for example, Coloring Your Eyes, right? We were talking with Enoya. It's about judgment, and you were saying it's about social conditioning.
I think it's about. I also think it's about sometimes hypocrisy, because when you look in the film, one of the people that he admires the most, that his friends have to bring up, is a guy at work. He's a black man, but he's someone who works. He earns his keep, and he respects the man's work ethic. It's like, I like him. He comes to work. He doesn't mess around. But this other guy who happens to be white, he is lazy as I don't know what. And I have to tell you something about Will Ferrell, who plays Hank. Will Ferrell, if he has a choice, he's a comedy actor. When I gave him that, he's like, Ron, I want to work with you, but like, where's the funny? It's like, Ron, but he came on to work with me, and I hope I work with him again, because he was somebody who just trusted. He jumped in there. That it's definitely not him. But and then of course Morgan Wellens, who she came all the way from Atlanta to Virginia.
Wow.
I met Morgan in a screenwriting class, and we were just talking, and she was like, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm about to go and do 3 films." I said,
Wow.
And she was like, "That sounds pretty good. Call me." I said, "Well, I'm gonna call you on that, because listen, I've been in Virginia all my life. Look, I know all of the actors that know around them. I know a lot of them, and some of them look at me like, 'Hey, Ron,' and some of them look at me. I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna say the guy's name. I gotta tell you this.
I guess they know who they are. Huh?
Listen, here's the thing. Like, I'm a genius, right? Let me show you how big of a genius I am. I had this actor. He would give me his number. Call me, Ron. Call me. I call him. I get the voicemail, and I'm like, "Well, he'll get back with me." It wasn't until about 3 years of calling this man, leaving all these voicemails, I realized he's ducking me. He's when he sees me, "Hey, brother, hey, we got to work together. Hey."
Sometimes.
Yeah. Now, when these 4 films came out, "Hey, brother, look, I like what you did. I said, please, how you doing? You doing okay? Now, could you go over there? I mean, look, come on now. So it means a lot to me to have someone like Ryan, who sees the vision, who takes it seriously, who will jump in. And I have to mention his father and his mother, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. They came down to see Ryan in a Player's Last Play, and they had such great things to say about it. And I remember Ryan told me his father says, "Hey, keep in contact with him. He's going places." And there's sometimes when it gets really tough that words like that will revive you. And Ryan has been there for me to call him and be like, I'm done. I'm not doing it again. I'm done. I'm not doing nothing again. Nothing. It's over. Say hello to your parents for me. And then he got to call for me. I'm back. I'm going to do it again.
What I love about the film is that when the father is saying how much he respects everyone, you bring out that point so clearly, that is, as long as it's not in my backyard, right?
Oh, yeah.
As long as it's not my daughter, as long as it's not my son, as long as it's not in my home, as everybody's great, everybody's respectful. I love it. Yeah, he's my friend, blah, blah, blah. But as long as it's not in my backyard, right? And addressing that head on. I mean, when I look at that you had to have drawn from experiences with that, because that is so clearly what we deal with in daily life all the time. Oh yeah, I'm with you. And then all of a sudden it's right there, and it's in your face, and you're like, well, wait. No, this is different. And it's not.
Well, I haven't dealt with it personally on a personal level, but what I think about is, if I'm going to tackle if I'm going to talk about a topic like this, which has been covered before, what can I bring different to it? That's one of the things I think about. And when I hear these conversations on television, there's certain questions that are not being asked. I feel like they're obvious questions, but I feel like if you ask them, conversation over with. We can't have an hour discussion about this if we ask these certain questions. And one of them is having the courage to stand up against what you would feel like is oppression. You know, a lot of times people like to roll along with the pack, but they don't want to go against the pack, whether it's because they're their friends, or they want to stand out, or they don't want any trouble, or they don't want to, face the ridicule. It takes a special kind of person to step in and says, you know what, I don't think this is right. And this, I'm going to go over here while everybody else goes over there. But then also to ask certain questions. Like, for example, if you're dealing with a lot of people, when you bring together facts and a legitimate argument, if they have no leg to stand on, they will go to mockery, to ridicule, to jokes, to making light of. Everything to mask the fact that they don't have a leg to stand on because they don't want to look bad, and they can't sit here and say it to themselves, you know what, you're right, I didn't. But to showcase, but one of the most important things about this story was not just to harp on, for people of a Caucasian, descent. It was to harp on that because I wanted to show that the father and the daughter had a strong bond. There was a big respect there. She loved him. He was a big part of everything she was to make her who she was, but she had drawn a line, because I think the line she says, what good am I getting with someone that you approve of if my heart lies with this man?
That's
So I
right.
have to live my life. And I'm hoping that people would see that it takes her a bit of courage to take that stand, because she wants him to be a part of their life, but she's saying, this is what this man has shown me, that he loves me, I love him, and if I'm going to gamble on anybody, I'm going to gamble on him, which takes courage. Because the biggest thing today is, if you go against the family, he might leave you, she might leave you, but the family will always be here. But if you find someone that has that courage, integrity, and tap, and let's get it straight, courage and integrity and character is not jumping off trees nowadays, okay? Everybody does not have that. But for you to have someone that you can bank on and say that I believe we're going to be together for the next 50 years is a special thing. It's a tough situation, but it's all about where you stand. And the way he raised her, his daughter would make a stand like that. It's just he never thought he would be in that situation. So
I love
Actually
that.
facing the contradictory of what he taught his own daughter in his own face. I love it.
I really wonder what the stats are. I really wonder how much interracial babies, those precious babies, have turned racist or cold hearts. Because when you sit here and say, I don't want my daughter messing with a color or with a worse word, and you bring that baby home, it's like, I'm supposed to hate you, but you're so cute.
But I can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you're so adorable. And it's like, oh, God, you're like, huh? Coochie coo. What are you gonna do? It's a beautiful baby.
It's true. It's true. And there's one thing I have to ask Ryan. I'm sorry, Krisztina, I'll bring it back to you.
No, it's okay.
I have to ask Ryan, because you had to, what you stood for in that film was what every interracial couple faces when they have to meet the family.
Yep.
And what you did and how you presented yourself was so powerful in the character. I mean, what were your thoughts around that? Because that the coming home and meeting the family, and it's interracial, and surprise, here I am, and let's see if you like me, but I got your daughter, it doesn't matter, that's all there building up.
I think the thing for me, the thing I liked about that was that it was awkward. Like, it felt awkward even reading it. So I knew that it was something that needed to be done, needed to be shown on screen. And just acting through it, it also felt awkward as well. But the good thing is that what helped me, get through those moments in that film was that my character was everything that her dad wanted her to have in a man. Successful, strong-minded, a faithful man. My character was everything that the father wanted for her to have in her man, except just the color of my skin. So with that helped me be strong. That helped me say, all right, I'm able to stand up, and meet your father and, meet your family, because I'm strong like that,
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
think
guys.
that's so important. Yeah, it's just so important, because whether you know it or not, every interracial couple is going through that. And what you just depicted there is 9 out of 10 how they feel as a couple in the first place. But some people just don't have the wherewithal to stand in their truth, which is, I'm good enough.
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to have in this one, just for anyone who's going through this couple came to the table ready for the best and worst case scenario. They'd already talked about it. They made a wager, and it was like, listen, we need to be prepared for this to go either way, and they were united on that, which can be a very, very difficult thing, you know. So I wanted, you know, people, because sometimes in this life, who you pick to do life with, there might be, they may come with a cost. They may come with some adages, and I don't like that. But then it's also, can you deal with that? Because if you're going to have to deal with this, it's not going to be easy, and you definitely want to make sure that you can deal with it, because I think it's important. It should not be like that, but if it is, the best thing you can do is prepare yourself for what your reality is going to be.
Excellent.
I'm smiling here, guys, because I'm listening to you talking. And what came in my mind is in regards with the girl from the movie. And Olia always says, it stops with me. Okay. And that's what she actually decided. It stops with me. So from here, I'm going to change the stereotype. I'm going to change the conditioning, and I'm going to see it, experience it for myself, instead of listening to my father, my mother, or my relatives and my friends telling me that this and this and this is going to happen. So what happens is it stops with me. So I'm starting to think, feel for myself, and experience for myself. That's number one. The other piece, since I'm with Enolia and I'm with you guys, the color of my skin is white. It's very white, right? I'm surrounded by Black people, I think 99% of my day. Okay. And I also kind of had to learn how to be around Black colored people. But I also learned to see the person, to see that soul, not the color of the skin.
Mhm.
And for me, that would be really amazing to experience that moment when two people meet and the color of their skin is different, and they look at each other not through the eyes of what the color of your skin is, but what's the color of your soul, and that's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was watching your movie, I was like, okay, breathe it in, Krisztina. Yes, that happens. Yes, she stands out for her boyfriend, for her future husband, which is a Black man, right? It can be on other way around. It can happen, but if we put this in front of people in form of storytelling, in form of a movie, we make them think. We make them, and through your movie, what you did, guys, you make people think from a different perspective, and that's the beauty of it. That's what I actually really like it.
You know what? It's interesting because I don't know if I ever do this or not, but I thought about doing a film with the cast of When We Pray on Them, about, because we have different cultures in that cast, and it's a group of guys sitting at a table who, and each one of them is in love with a woman at the other table, and everybody has a different nationality, and everybody's concerned because they don't know certain culture things, and they like the girl, but they don't know if they fit in. Like one guy is a white dude, you could call him Southerner, you can call him, people may describe him as a redneck. He's in love with he will love the Black girl, but he's concerned, is she going to do this, is she going to do that, or like they don't know. Or and just like my character, there's a young lady from Indian descent. It's like, is that even allowed? You know, will she even look at me? I don't know. And how do you ask these questions? Hey, I'm Ron. Am I allowed? You don't know. You're totally ignorant. You want education, but how do I ask this question? You know, like, what do I say? Like, I don't care what color you are. I like you, but when you talk to me, I don't know what to say. My foot's in my mouth. I don't have the education. There's no translator over here. Nobody come over here to answer my questions. You know, all these things that you could be going through, you know, so I don't know if we ever, it would be a comedy. I don't know if we ever do that or not, but that's what I'm thinking about, because a lot of times, there's so many things we don't know how to ask, and then we get funny about it. We get funny. It's like, I don't know how to ask, so I'm just going to say something. I'm not going to say something. I'm going to think something. I'm going to do something. I don't know. But for me, I grew up where, excuse me, I don't particularly see color. I know that I'm black, and I understand that. I don't care what color you are. I care, or do you have character? Are you a good person? Because I've had people that look like me who have treated me terrible. I have people who don't look like me who've treated me wonderful. And that's big, just like I talked about before. If I go into a meet with the network, they might look at me in black and be like, okay, -5. But by the time I finish presenting, I believe they're gonna have a different take on who I am
Mhm.
and what I've come to bring. So, but that's all that I can control. You know, I am not here to be anybody's representation of an entire black race, because I have people that I'm very proud of in my race. I have some people that we can request a trade. You know, so it's all of that, and
Same
that's
here.
what I like to see, people seeing people. So
Same here.
So it's so great. I'm sitting here listening to you, and the first thought I came up with is that you are so powerful, Ronald. Your presence, your stature, everything, and your writing is powerful. Everything's powerful. And then I was thinking, okay, Ryan, when you first met this man, you have to tell me, what was it like when you first met
Oh
him,
my God.
encountered him? What was it like when you read his script and said, oh
It was like,
crap,
oh
he's
my
asking me
God.
to play what?
All
You
right.
know,
tell
Can I
tell
can
the
I
story.
can I
Tell
tell
the
the story?
story.
Can I
Tell
tell the
the
story,
story.
Ron? All right, I got
Tell
it.
the
I'm gonna tell the
story.
story. I'm gonna tell the
Tell the
story. All
story.
right. So when I first met Ron, this was my first time ever acting. So I was doing a short film at my school at college. I went to Virginia Union University, and after the one production, Ron walked up to me, serious about acting, called me, gave me his card. It's like, all right. He walked up confident. I'm like, oh, he had a nice suit on. So, oh, you real deal. Okay, okay. So then after that, so then I called him literally right away. It might have been the next day or that weekend. It was no later than 2 or 3 days later. So I called him. So we set up a meeting to go to the local Starbucks at the time, which was literally right up the street from the university. And then, came in there, he sat me down, we was talking and stuff, and he just laid out his vision. He said, I'm doing this play. This is the reason why I'm doing this play. This is what I want to show the audience. And then he was just telling me about how he wanted me to play the main character. And he explained the main character to me. One of the main characters, I'm sorry, because it was an ensemble cast. So he explained one of the main characters to me, which was Eric. And he was like, you the understudy. So I was like, all right, in my head, I'm like, dang, I'm not gonna be able to get to do this role, because I'm not understudy. Somebody already, has it. So we had a great conversation though. So I saw Ron passion, from day one. Like I believed in him, like because what he was saying that he was doing and going to do during the course of me just being involved in that first play, he did it. If he said he was going to have the location picked by such and such date, it was picked. If he said, he wanted to start rehearsals on this day at this time, it was locked in, so that's one reason why I always will forever, work with Ron, because from day one of me meeting him, he said what he was going to do, he did it. So after we had the conversation at Starbucks, took the script home, I did not read not one letter. I'm not gonna lie. I did not read not one letter. Put it on the nightstand. It was just sitting there. So then he called me back like 3 weeks later. He called me. Hey, you ready? He said, yeah, the guy that I originally had, he dropped out of the role. He's like, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Come on, when we starting? I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. And he was like, all right. So then we set up the times for rehearsals and the dates. When I tell y'all I was nervous. After we had the conversation, I picked up the script. And I was like, yo, all these lines, oh my God. I don't know why I told this man I was ready. Oh man. But the good thing was that also at that conversation that we had back at Starbucks, Ron was like, look, if you put the work in, I'll make you a star. But you gotta be willing to put the work in. So when he called me and said, yeah, you ready? I kept that in the back of my head, like, okay, I'm gonna put this work in. Yeah, I'm ready. And then also the great thing is that, like Ron said, he plans everything. Like it's just amazing just seeing him work. Like he literally plans everything. So I knew that the production wasn't gonna be right away. So we had plenty of time to, you know, put that work in over the course of months to get ready for it. So that was another thing that helped, you know, calm me down and say, you know what, I could do this. And Ron believed in me from, you know, day one, first rehearsal. So that helped me believe in myself as well.
And one thing we did different with the Players Last Play, the play was we shot 3 commercials to promote it.
Mhm.
Because at the time we thought and they're actually on the DVD, and they actually, I know that through my website, you can actually get the play. If you go through my website, you can go through Vimeo, and they actually has both of my first 2 plays on there, and I was able to actually get the DVD content on the actual digital production of it. So you have the commercials, the trailers,
Wow.
all that stuff. And we shot, and I remember Ryan telling me one time, I think he was at work, somebody come up was like, I seen you on TV, you know. So that was one of the best. That was one of the
Oh,
best,
that blew my mind.
you know.
Blew my mind.
So you know,
Wow. So I'm understanding that. Oh, actually, what I would love to ask, what are the challenges what you guys are facing, right, during the production when you plan a movie? You write, you put your cast together. I'm sure it's not like phew, it just flows. You guys have some challenges. What are the biggest ones? What you
the
face?
biggest challenges, well, the biggest challenges with doing the plays were people's commitment. A lot of times, like for Players Last Play, we had a young man who was coming from Northern Virginia, and he would get to the rehearsal every time on time. And you got people that live 20 minutes away, and they would get there late. And so it was a situation where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the best of a bad situation. So I would count, well, whoever got there, I would have them broken down by scenes. So if I had enough people to run scene 7 and scene 5, I ran scene 7 and scene 5. And what I would do, what most people would do, is I'll get you in. If you want to know more scenes, you know, you can go. You know, I try to do this as an incentive, you know, which it was just really, I'm grateful for everyone that has worked with me, that have guided me through, you know, a production, that worked through production with me. But not everybody did come and took it seriously. And that's something I didn't get. And I felt like there was no need to be treated like that, because if you're an actor, I believe in coming in ready. For example, I normally would come in off book. I'll be the first person off book, you know, and you know, and sometimes, and I know, and I would give people. I remember my first play, I gave them the script a year in advance. For Players Last Play, they had a script maybe like 8 months in advance, and I did 3 months of rehearsal. And some people wanted to wait 2 weeks to learn their lines. And when we start rehearsal, I says, bring your ideas. Come one, come all. Give me all all my rehearsals. Come with all your ideas. And nobody has ideas. About 2 weeks before we about to shoot,
They had
before
ideas.
we gonna do the performance, everybody got all these ideas because they just finally learned all their lines. There will be no idea. You know, we're gonna do this. Like, no, idea time is gone. It never fails. I don't know why, but you know, yeah, you know, so yeah, so those were challenges with the movies. The fact that I have been working with a lot of people that really, really care about their craft, and it hasn't been. See, I study, as you know, I'm a big Ridley Scott fan, and Ridley Scott talks about preparing for the role. He talks about doing his homework. He talks about, you know, he talks about preparation, and good preparation for all 4 of the films have left us with getting there. That you give us 8 hours, we knock it out in 6 hours, we go home. You know, we didn't have anybody feeling disrespect. I have enough people on crew a lot of times, thank God, because of my friends, that we come in there. It's not a hard task for anybody. We have fun, we enjoy ourselves, and we leave. You know, for the best I can tell you is, and Ryan can tell you about this, when we pray on them, we were in the parking lot waiting for the sergeant to come out.
Yep. Like, oh man.
And one of the actors says to my friend Damien, he says, how long do you think we're gonna be here? And it's about 5:10. And Damien says, about midnight. Well, no, we're gonna be here at 4:00 in the morning. We got to 4:00 in the morning. He said, do you know your lines? He said, because Big Ron know his lines. And if y'all as good as he say y'all are, we're gonna be out here at midnight. We were walking across the parking lot at 12:15, and we had till 4:00 in the morning. Wow. We got all of our stuff shot. So
I have to ask this question to both of you, which is that we hear how everything is together and everything's all laid out. Everybody knows their lines and whatnot, but those moments have to happen when you're sitting there, you're going through the motions as an actor, doing your thing, and then you lose it. You just not lose the line, but lose the character, lose the feel, lose the and you don't know what to do. What do you do in those moments? And then I also want to ask Ron that in terms of being the producer, you know, and the film director too, you know, what do you do in those moments when just for that hot moment, you don't feel like it's coming together?
Have not had that moment. Have not had that moment with any of these films. All the cast with all 4 of the films, everybody came ready. We had rehearsal. Now it would happen in rehearsal, but rehearsal is where it's supposed to happen. Like a lot of times people, you know, when you first do that off-book rehearsal, people get timid because they're losing the crutch. But I cautioned them, I said, guys, if you don't know it, we're just rehearsal. This is the time to jump off and fall off the cliff. This is the best time. And getting them more comfortable with that was the thing. Now, when it came to if you want to talk about a time that hasn't happened before, yes. Let's talk about college. I directed the play called The Meeting. I'm playing Martin Luther King. The other gentleman playing Malcolm X. And I mean, and he decided to learn his. I didn't know this until afterwards. He decided to learn his lines 2 weeks before the role. Everybody wants 2 weeks before the role. Yeah, it's like 43 pages of line. Man, I'm going back and forth. You want to learn last minute. So we do 3 performances. The first night, he takes us from the beginning of the play to the middle. Now I knew the play back and forth, so I was able to go there and bring us back. The second night, he takes us from the end to the beginning. I had to bring us back. The third night, he takes us from the middle to the beginning.
But you can put them together.
Yeah. So that was, and it was only because I trained for that play for 9 months, doing research, reading the script because there was a lot of lines, and I just knew it backwards and forwards. Now that would have been scary had I not been ready. Because I was sitting here, I was like, well, Brother Malcolm, you know, I believe you're talking about so we get back where we're woo. Now that would have been scary had I not known it. But I like to talk to my actors about knowing your lines like you know your name. And listen, everything I write is not it's not Aaron Sorkin. Everything I write is not gold. So I'm like, I remember I was working with a young man. He substituted Antoine Scott. He substituted in the play I Deserve Better. And he was like, you know, I got these soup coolers. You got these whiff and where and whiff. All these W's is having a hard time. I said, well, what do you want it to be? You know, I don't want to whiff. Why? Who? He said, my lips, these soup coolers. I can't be doing all these W's and stuff. So I said, change it to what you make it comfortable for you. You know, so I do everything I can to alleviate it. But on these 4 films, I mean, with a monster, these 2 ladies, the 2 ladies in that film, they were rehearsing while I'm sitting there, I'm like, and they're going back and forth and asking themselves questions and marking their script. I'm like, I don't even need to be here. They were so committed. And, you know, so I didn't have it on this one because all the cast rallied around me and said, Ron, we're ready to go to work. And it was beautiful. And I'm hoping they are as proud of the films as I am. So.
Yeah. Now, to answer your question, that did happen to me when we did a Player's Last Play, and I got humbled. That's why Ron laughing.
You got humbled, huh?
I got humbled. So this was the second rehearsal off book, and I'm killing it. I'm in there. I'm locked in. My timing is great. You know, the emotion is there. Like, I'm in this role. I walked out smelling myself. Didn't look at the script. Between that rehearsal and the next one, next rehearsal came, I was terrible. I was terrible. Ron was like, you stopped looking at the script, didn't you? I was like, how you know? Like, I could tell, but he was like, you know what? Like he said earlier, you know, he's like, you know what? I'm glad that happened to you. Because he said, I'd rather it happen now in rehearsal than when we get on the stage and in the middle of production that happens. So he was like, you know, just keep reading the script, you know, go back, keep doing what you was doing to, you know, get off book, but just keep doing it. Don't lose it. So I got humbled. I got humbled very much so.
But it was a good lesson to learn because even with myself, even though I wrote it, that doesn't necessarily mean I retain it. Every step I do separately. I write it first, and then when it comes to doing the directing, I go through it separately. When I go through the act, I go through it. It's all a separate process. Because even for me, I would take 2 pages. If I got 10 lines, I take 10 lines, I hold up 10 fingers. And I go through all the lines I feel like they're supposed to be. If I got the finger holding up, I know that I messed up. You know, because it's still about knowing my lines like I know my name. It's about not having any fear. It's about going out there and giving the best representation. And it's about it's really about my mission and my men and my women. I want every actor to be comfortable. I want them to be ready because listen, it is amazing to get a script and have to learn. Like when you talk about the newsroom, Jeff Daniels talked about they would get a script and they'll have like 4 days to learn almost 70 pages of dialogue. Like on that Thursday, they get the new script, have the table read at lunch while they're still doing the current episode. So they get episode 4 on the second week of production of episode 3. And they do the table read. They have to finish out Thursday and Friday's work. And then they have all weekend to memorize those lines and be ready Monday morning to start shooting the next episode. So, and to me,
okay,
it's a lot. But for me, if I give you the script 5 months in advance, I'm trying to make sure that there's no, if you have an idea that's better than what I have on the page, let's hear it. All I care about is the best production. I don't care about ego. I don't care if it's my idea. I care about making it the best to serve, serve the production and not yourself. I was taught that as an actor, writer, producer, and as a director. Because like I said, the film I'm writing right now, I got this cool shot I want to do. I want to do this really cool shot. And now I'm like, I don't know if this cool shot fits in the story. So I have to serve the story and not myself. Even though I look good, it would look scary. But I don't know. It's gonna work. So
okay. So what's the secret? What's the secret spice to memorizing lines? What is it? Is it just repeating and reading it over and over and over again? What's the secret about reading lines when you know you have so much to memorize?
It's about, do you understand the conversation that you're talking about? For example, if you did a transcript of everything we said right now, you're probably going to end up with 15, 20 pages there, right? But if you understand the context of the interview of what we're saying, first of all, it's understanding that. If you've never loved someone in your life, how are you going to understand love? So it's about, do I understand this text? And then it's about understanding that if you really think about how many conversations we have normally, how many pages there would be if you wrote it down. And then it's about knowing your lines like you know your name. It's about not having to doubt yourself. Because I know Ronald Dillard Jr. I don't have to think about that. You can ask me when I'm sleepy, I'll know that. And when you know something, you know it. That means you might wake up, you be like, it's almost like, from the last Boy Scout, you're always so cool. Just one time, I like to hear you scream in pain. Play some rap music. I know that line. I'm gonna go anywhere. You're nobody. Shh, don't tell anybody. So it's like when you know your name. It's about putting the time in to read them, understand them, and then do you understand the context of what you're saying? Are you coming here saying, "Are you sleeping with my wife?" No, I don't think that's good. No. Are you sleeping with my wife? No. Are you sleeping with my wife? Hey, that's it's about doing the work. What is this script? What is this line saying? What's the subtext behind it? What are they not saying? A lot of times, I don't do a lot of beating around the bush in my writing. People come out and say what they want to say, and people say that that's unrealistic. I don't really care because we could really do more with people saying what they really say. So, and I also like to see the person that is considered weak or the underdog to have their say, whether it makes no difference or not. Because to take a stand for yourself and say what you have to say when you've been wrong, I believe there's power in that, And I just want to, because listen, I'm a nice guy. And for a bit of my life, I've been kicked around. For example, with some actors, I would show up for the meeting 15 minutes early and they'll be 30 minutes late. That means I was there for 45 minutes. One time, dude got there. I got up, I said, I'm leaving. He said, man, what you doing, man? I'm leaving. I said, brother, you're 30 minutes late. Well, yeah, well, I'm here now. I said, yeah, and now I'm gone. Felt amazing. It felt amazing. I don't know if I was right or wrong, but I was there for 45 minutes.
I do that here in Africa. On Western time. You said what? And you're showing up when? I'm out.
Absolutely. And people not understanding how disrespectful that is of your time or how unprofessional that is. I mean, if it's something that couldn't be helped, absolutely. But it's just that it was happening over and over again. I'm like, man, these people are not going to stop treating me like this unless I stop it. And that was a tough lesson. But that's why somebody but Ryan never treated me like that. Never treated me like that. always on time, always wanted to work after practice, always wanted to give the best performance that he could, always cared enough about his part and the production. And I really appreciate that because I know what it's like not to have that. And for all the films that we did, everybody cared. Everybody came and took care of it. They rallied behind me, and it felt so good to work with people that just came in, knocked the work out, and went home. And I hope they had as good of a time making the films as I did.
I'm sure. So you, Ryan, you got a good point here, I guess. And what I can say is that for you, Ronald, as a director, producer, writer, everybody get to work with you. When I'm seeing your movies are heading and where you are heading, I think they are just lucky to have you working with them, being very honest. And this is going to lead me to my next question. Really, if you want to share, of course, I know what are your future plans, but would you mind sharing what's going to be your next step from here?
Well, officially, for anybody that knows anything about me, is I want to be a showrunner.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have created now 3 shows on my own, 2 1-hour dramas, 1 dramedy, something that mirrors a HBO Entourage of Ballers. And I've co-created 2 shows, 1 an hour drama, another one is my first sitcom. So I created this with 2 other ladies. And I'm hoping that one of those gets an opportunity to get made, because another thing is that not only do I want to tell stories, as much as I love acting and I would like to get out and act, but let's say I can write something to go out and act in a weekend, but to be able to tell stories over multiple seasons, to give opportunities, to tell these different stories that I'm looking to tell, that I can't think of anything better than that. And as I've always say, for people that's in the business, they might look at me and say, he's so arrogant, he thinks he can do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not doing this with arrogance. I'm doing this with someone that has put his own money up on his own productions. So I don't just understand the value of $1, I understand the value of a dime. Another thing is that when it comes to posters or promotion or setting up photo shoots or rehearsals or designing sets, I've had to do all of that stuff. So to say that I'm going to have a team of qualified, talented people that I'm going to drop the ball, it's just not happening. Also, you have to have a plan if you're going to do something like this. And the plan is, first of all, when I come into the first show, I don't run that. You get a veteran showrunner on the job training. Also, I try to get into the WGA's showrunner program. That way you're going to the Harvard of television show running while doing the job, because I want to make sure that the production company, the studio, everybody, that their best interest is protected. And that's the way to protect their interests, to ensure that I am instructed. But where we're going right now, especially where I believe when the strike is over with, you're going to need people who can basically do a lot with a little starting out. I believe it's going to be important. Or basically make sure they don't go over budget, because one of the things that I understand from reading John Wells, from studying Shonda Rhimes, from studying J.J. Abrams, it's about quality scripts on time. And also it's about setting up a meeting schedule so that you meet everybody's expectations. The script's on time, the studio get their notes, they give you back their notes on time, the director has it so he can run the episode, so that you don't waste money, so that you don't interrupt people's, I'm sorry it was a long answer, but that in the interim is what I'm looking to do. On the side of that, there are 3 films I'm looking to shoot within the next couple of years. So
beautiful, beautiful. And I have to ask Ryan this too. Ryan, out of the roles that you've done with Ronald, do you have a favorite? Is any one of them that you've played been like your favorite, like you really could just get into it, or have they all just balanced out?
I love all of them. That's a great question. Thank you for asking me that. So I love all of the roles. I appreciate every last one of them because they all have challenged me. So they all have challenged me to grow as an actor. They all have challenged me to, ask Ron about different questions, to ask him different questions so I could better understand the script. One of my favorite roles though was Officer Jones and When We Pray on Them, because that started out as a small role. And me and Ron, we just was, bouncing ideas off each other's head. Once again, because we always talk about the script. So we was like, well, at this point, what if this happens? And then, at this point, what if, that happens? So that was probably my favorite. But once again, I say they're all my favorite. I love all of them, but that was probably my favorite one, developing that character with Ron, because it was just so short and we just expanding it very wide. And then If we were to do, you know, a movie, that character role even expands even more. So
So when you talk about that particular role, right, where did
mhm.
you get your inspiration from? Because that was a hard role. That
So
was tough.
yeah, so for that role, I actually got inspiration from my father for one, because he was a retired correctional officer. So I drew inspiration from him and
Okay.
just all of his different stories that he would tell me and everything. And then the other thing that I drew inspiration from was that it was, you know, when people, well, in America, a lot of times when Black people do law enforcement, they consider, oh, a sellout, Uncle Tom, and this and that. And I was able to play that role as the officer, but also not be an Uncle Tom, you know, not be a sellout, you know. I was like a sleeper
Right.
cell inside, you know, the police force, you know. That's
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for that question, because I don't get asked that question a lot, but I love answering it.
So I see that you guys have challenges. I would love to ask you, for those who would love to enter into the filmmaking industry, into the entertainment industry, I don't like to ask you guys to give advice, but what would you tell them? For young actors, young filmmakers, young directors who are, yes, I'm going to go there and I'm going to conquer Hollywood. Okay. What do you guys would tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is to put their plan together. So if you're a young person and you're about to graduate high school and you want to move to LA, I'd say, you know what, um, take a year and a half, work 2 jobs, save up a good amount of money. Because when you go to California, if you go to California with a nice bank account, and now you basically maybe you have to take a job as a waiter. Basically, you'll have some reserves so that even though you may be a struggling whatever, you basically, if there is a role that you have to get, you have to go to an opportunity there where now you have to take off work for 2 weeks. You're not going to be subject to, losing that income. Also, to give you enough time that if you want to come in there, if you want to have certain equipment so you can make movies on a Saturday or Sunday when you're off, you have that opportunity and you can put your best self forward. Also, educate yourself. What do you want to do and who does it the best? Who are you a fan of? Also, if you can take classes, take classes. If you can read books, read books. Continuously educate yourself on how to do it and be the best at it. Because one of the best things one of the best things that you can ever do is to have a gut about something and be able to do it from A to Z. And also have a plan. So put a plan together, think about what you really want to do, and then continue to go after it with no fears. If you are afraid, take a page that I didn't take. I never got up and moved to California because I was afraid to. But I feel like my mistake was this. I always thought about me failing. I never thought about me succeeding. So if you have the fear for that, think about the opposite side too. And then anything you're afraid of, think about how you can prepare against it. So that if you have that reserve of money and you are afraid of being homeless, and now you have a job in LA and you're just barely making it, have the discipline to keep that money in case it's an emergency to ensure that you will not be homeless. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I remember we had this conversation about fear and success last time, and that's a beautiful one. If we go down on that road, we're gonna be here for another hour.
Yeah, because if people can learn from my fears, then it's worth me having gone through it. So
Yeah. And Ryan?
Yeah, I would say, wow, that's a tough question. So I would say, number one, I would say, know what you want to do. Like Ron said, like if you want to be an actor or if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a director, if you want to do all three, know what you want to do. Educate yourself as well. Like Ron said, read books, because Ron, he always gives me books to read and everything. So the books he give me to
It
read,
does,
like,
huh? It does.
yeah, and it's just part of educating. Like you don't necessarily have to go to class, to get educated. But read books, and then also, yes, get training. Take a screenwriting class, take a acting class, and do research. Like really, really do research. And if you can, save up some money and get you some equipment. It might not have to be the best equipment, it could be, very frugal equipment, but just get started on doing what you want to do. If you want to be a director, start directing some stuff. If it's just you, or if you could get, a couple buddies, even better, y'all could come together, write something down. You could start off shooting scenes. Doesn't even have to be, a full script. It could be a 5-minute scene, something, but get started and don't have fear. That's a big one. I know a lot of people say, don't have fear, and it's easy to say, but yeah, just believe in yourself. And I will also say, have a job. So even if you want to do, entertainment and acting as a full-time job, please have some type of way to, help sustain your stuff when those times do get hard. You can have, like Ron said, money saved up, or if you have to take a low-paying job, you having some money saved up, or you being able to get by with that low-paying job until, something bigger comes along. So I would say that as well.
Wow.
And one thing I have to add on to that is listen to your gut. You're going to be have a point of view. Listen to your gut. With all the training that you get, if you have to do a role, because listen to your gut separates you from, separates the James Gandolfinis from everybody else. The guy who comes in there is a little heavy set. He isn't what the role says, but he's so dynamic. That they say we would count. Or the Shonda Wilsons. Shonda Wilson's in Grey's Anatomy. She went in there for the part called the Nazi. She's a short black woman. She's not a Nazi. And but she was so dynamic that she earned that part, and they kept it in there, and it works because she's a drill sergeant when you see her in the first season of Grey's Anatomy, But she went in there and she owned that role, and that had to be coming from her gut. If you prove yourself wrong, have the courage to go back and rework it, but have a point of view, listen to your gut, and also if you're going to do a story, what's your take on the story? Take Jerry Bruckheimer, for example. When he got the script of Pirates of the Caribbean, it was totally different. He said, you know what? I think this is more interesting. He listened to his gut. And he's been very successful listening to his gut. So I'd say that.
So I want to add to this too, and I'm going to give you a coaching perspective also, because what you are sharing is so real and so viable. From a coaching perspective, I always say, dream a beautiful dream or you will be dreamt, which I'm basically saying is that if you don't hold a vision for yourself to make life become a walk to that vision with the right attitude, then you will be dreamt, which means that you will run around doing what people perceive you should be doing and think you should be doing, and you're not living up to your own expectations. And what you're sharing to me is the practicality of that. So if you wanted to be an actor and you're supposed, all you love doing is acting, you're supposed to be an actor. If you're producing movies from 12 years old up, then you're supposed to be a producer, director, writer, actor, whatever it takes to be. But hold the vision for yourself. And the mental attitude is 90% of the work, knowing that no one can stop you as a force to get to that vision. And then, like you're saying, do the work, do whatever it takes, do the work, right? Set yourself up so that if you fall, you can pick yourself up, and the fall isn't as devastating as not being prepared if you fall. And so I think what you're giving and sharing as quote unquote tips is invaluable, and I thank you.
My pleasure.
You're welcome.
And I thank all of you guys today. Thank you, Ronald. I love you. I appreciate it. I'm honored that you are in my show again. Thank you very much, Ryan, for joining. And thank you for being part of the show and part of Ronald's movies. I would love to thank you, Enonia, because you co-hosted this show with me today. It's always amazing. I love you much, guys.
Thank you to our guests, Ryan and Ronald. It's such a pleasure to be here. And Krisztina, you're the best. We love working together. I love working with you. So
I just want to say, because everybody saw the post, and I want to make sure they don't get treated. We're going to have another edition with Shirod Greene. I'm hoping that both of you ladies will attend. And the good thing about that is that we'll hopefully have a chance to talk about how me and this brother met and the 4 films we did together, because he is dynamic. So let me know, ladies, when you are available, and we will make that happen. Absolutely. Anybody who saw the picture and like, hey, what happened to the other guy?
Exactly.
we apologize, but we're going to make that interview happen. So we're not going to forget about you.
So that's a good thing, guys,
And-
because we're gonna have them again in the
Yes.
show. Whoa!
Again and again. And please check out Ronald Dillard's films on Fave Unite TV. They are there when we pray on them, Color of Your Eyes, and more. So take a look. Don't want to have the spoiler alert. They're phenomenal. We wouldn't be here if they weren't.
Thank you, guys. I love you. Thank you so much for all the love, for all the heart that you sent us today.